then give it to Laura after the lesson. Yeah. All these videos are on the platform as well. I added the ones that you did with Laura to the platform, so you'll be able to find those under the videos on the platform. Yeah. So more generally, if you can tell me what the method is about, what the objectives of the method are.
The objective of the method is fluency by immersion and fast sort of method, so that you don't have time to think about it too much. You're on to the next question, and you're also hearing how it's said. So there's a lot of imitation. So it imitates how you would naturally learn to speak as a child.
Yeah, that's basically the idea behind it. Exactly that. So, psychologically, we learn better in chunks. So if I were to speak, I don't know, Russian to you, I'm not a Russian speaker, by the way, but if I were to throw a few Russian words at you, a sentence in Russian, you would find it very difficult to repeat exactly what I just said. You probably get 2 or 3 sounds, and then it will start to become difficult. So when people learn a language in the kind of traditional way by writing words on a blackboard and things like that, they don't get an opportunity to learn in that kind of way. What they're doing is they're learning visually rather than learning by hearing, and they're not thinking about phrases and sentences. They're thinking about individual words. So when it's time for them to speak, if they haven't practiced speaking before, it's really, really difficult, because they start to think about, well, what does this word mean from my own language? How do I translate this word? How do I translate that word? And it becomes really, really difficult to speak fluently in any kind of way. So what we are attempting to do is to get students to think less about individual words and try to think more in chunks of phrases and sentences. So when we go through, what we're trying to do is go quickly, so there isn't time for them to think in their own language, and then they start to absorb parts of the sentence, part of the phrases, the nouns and verb structures, without thinking too much about it. Yeah, because if you explain in detail to somebody, the conjugations of this, the past tenses like that, certain clauses are like this, then they can understand what you're telling them in an academic sense, but it doesn't help them to speak. What they need to do is actually practice speaking, and to focus not on the academic bit of it, as it were, but trying to absorb kind of by osmosis the way that we speak normally. So what we're trying to do is set up this kind of environment where people are kind of obliged to learn without realizing it. So we try to go quickly so that they don't have time to think, and we're using repeated structure. So when you read the questions, you'll see, when you take a step back and look at a whole range of questions, you'll see kind of structures reappearing. So you've got the contractions and the abbreviations that appear over and over again. The different present tenses are reappearing at regular intervals. The vocabulary, when we teach a word, it appears a little bit later. So there's lots of kind of pedagogic theories behind what we do. So, there's lots and lots of things that on the surface, if you just read what's there, you say, oh, that's quite interesting. But when you get to appreciate the different levels behind the questions and the kind of meta structure of what's there, there's a lot more to it than appears on the surface. So a great example of this is a thing called now I'm trying to find the word, I can't find it, but it basically when you learn something, there's a period of time before you begin to forget it. So there's a thing called space-based training. Yeah. So when you learn something, after a day, you forget it. So if you time your repetition of your training, if you're just about to forget it and you learn it again, then it lasts a little bit longer. So maybe it lasts 2 days. So again, if you see it after 2 days, you repeat it again, it lasts a week. So each of these intervals gets larger and larger, and it allows you to remember something. Whereas if you just read it once, it's going to last, a few hours, maybe a day, and then you'll never see it again. So what you'll find it is questions and structures and vocabulary repeating at intervals throughout the course. So just as somebody's about to forget it, we remind them again, and that preserves the knowledge for a little bit longer. So there's lots and lots of levels to this method that we're using. On the surface, it's about fluency. Obviously, it's about fluency and working with somebody that the teacher that has that kind of instinct to know when things are right and wrong. So the technique is really to force people to kind of reveal the mistakes that they have in their understanding, so that the teacher can fix those as quickly as possible. So if you go to the other extreme, which is like a conversation lesson, people can only use the grammar and the vocabulary that they already know. So there's not so much room for improvement in a conversation lesson. You obviously work on your fluency, but here we're working on fluency and extending the student's knowledge. So there's quite a lot behind the kind of initial view of what we're doing. One of the things that we do in the course is that we repeat material a number of times. So if we had a lesson today, the first 2/3 of the lesson would be material that the students have already seen. And then the last third of the lesson will be new material. The following lesson, we go back a little bit. We do 2/3 of revision and 1/3 of new material. That way we're always progressing, but we're always revising the things that we've seen before, as well as within the questions themselves, we're repeating information. When we get to the end of the course, then we go back and do a revision of all the material that we've seen. So as Laura mentioned to you, the students get to see the grammar and the vocabulary at least 4 times during the course. And that's really the kind of core of the learning in the course. Yeah. So like I say, the technique is kind of sitting on top of all of this kind of work that we've done to get the information in a way that can be presented to the students. And as you say, we call it the natural method because really that's the way that people learn, is by speaking and then getting the correction afterwards. Yeah. So one of the things that you mentioned was you call it body language, but we tend to call it gestures. So associating kind of the gestures with the work that we do. One of the advantages of the gestures is that it helps fix the ideas in a student's head. So they associate the words not only with the sound, but with the gesture that they're seeing at the time. So if you use the same gesture for the same words or the same structures, the students begin to associate that. You'll find that after a while, you could almost give them a question just by gesturing. You know? So for example, how many fingers have I got on my left hand? How many fingers have I got on my left hand? There's enough information in the gesture for the student to remember that that's the question. They've obviously seen the question before, but they're associating that. So next time they see me doing that, they'll know what it is I'm after. Yeah, so there's lots and lots of gestures. Each teacher adopts their own gestures, but it's really, really important to try to use the gestures to help the students fix those things in their minds. Yeah. So any questions before we dive into the practical side of things? Any questions for me?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay, so which lessons did you see with Lauda? I think it was 20, 25 in stage 3 you were looking at, weren't you? 25, 26, 27, I think. Have you looked at 28 yet?
Which unit is this? Stage 3?
It's stage 3, yeah.
Stage 3, A21. That only goes to 16, L16.
Oh, right, okay. So you're looking at the spoken English books. Okay, no problem. Let's go up to stage 3. So lesson 4 of A210.
A210, LO4.
Yeah. Have you seen that before?
No, I don't think we did that one.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I can do it.
Okay, let's have a look at that. And let me quickly just have a look. Did you do any in B111, stage 5?
B1. B111 lesson 1. I don't think we did that one.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's start with that. B111 lesson 1. Okay. So what I always like to do, and I think it's the right way of doing things, is to present to you first. So I'll present it the way that I would present it to students. So you pretend to be a student, and then you present the same thing back to me. Yeah. So I'm just going to do the first 2 parts there. So chat and notice. Okay. So I'll present it to you. You be a student, and then you present it back to me. Remember that we're trying to do this at a reasonable speed as well. So we need to keep up the speed. That has 2 effects, the speed. The first effect is that there isn't time for the student to think. And the second effect that it has is that it keeps the lesson moving. If you start speaking like this, then the attention of the students will start to drag. Yeah. So the idea is to try to keep it moving, because the lesson is 50 minutes. Yeah. So there's a limit of attention span of about 40 minutes. After 40 minutes, students start to think about other things. So they can manage 40 minutes. But if you keep it lively, if you, that's part of the reason that we switch between Zoom 1 and Zoom 2, is to kind of snap them back into that mode again if they're beginning to lose attention. Yeah? So the idea is to try to keep it lively, keep it going, keep them on their toes. In a group of students, what you do is you don't let the student know until you've given the question twice who's going to receive the question. So that helps as well to keep them on their toes. Okay. Because if you say, okay, Andrew, okay, so automatically Andrew is paying attention, but everybody else says, oh, it's not for me, so relax. Whereas if you go
purely random way, or more systematical way, because
well,
you would want it so everybody gets about the same amount of questions as well.
Exactly. So what I always suggest to people that are, or to teachers that are starting for the first time, is to follow a system. Okay, so go around clockwise in Zoom. You know, students will work out at some point who's going to get the question, but it takes a little bit of time for them to work that out. But follow a system to start with. Then when you're totally comfortable, I would say, you know, once you've done 10 or 20 lessons, then you can vary it a bit. But you really, really have to make sure that all students get the same amount of questions. So you still have to have some kind of system in there. And we have in the past where we've had teachers that try to do it too randomly, we've ended up where one student has they left the school because they didn't get enough questions, because sometimes what happens is you develop a blind spot. You think you've asked everybody, but there's somebody that you haven't asked. So unless you've got a system, you don't know, or you can't be 100% sure that you haven't missed somebody. Sometimes people are very quiet, or sometimes for whatever reason, it's easy to ignore somebody if you don't have a system to follow. So I would suggest at the beginning, what you should do is just follow a system. Just go around clockwise, maybe go back anti-clockwise afterwards, or go from left, right, left, right, left, right to go through the students. I use gallery view on Zoom rather than with a little picture up the top of me and the rest down the bottom. I use gallery view, and I find that easier to manage the students. I find it easier to see what's happening. Okay. So let's go then. So I'll present to you, you present back to me. So chatear, online, en línea, face-to-face, cara a cara. Do you prefer chatting with your friends face-to-face or online? Do you prefer chatting with your friends face-to-face or online, Andrew? I prefer chatting. I prefer chatting with my friends.
With my friends face-to-face.
Face-to-face, yes. What do you do when you go online? What do you do when you go online? When I go online, when I go online, when I go online, when I go online, I look at my email. Okay, so when you speak to me, I'm not sure, or whether it's because I'm speaking to you, I don't hear your voice. I think because it's cutting out the microphone. Yeah, so like I was saying, we need to get the headphones across to you, because as I'm giving you the question, I can't hear you, so I'm pushing you more, and I think you're answering, but I can't hear you when you're speaking. Okay, so notice, darse cuenta or noticia. What was the first thing you noticed when you got up today? What was the first thing you noticed when you got up today, Andrew? The first thing I noticed, when I got up today was the clock. The clock, yes. Are you the kind of person who notices when other people are happy? Are you the kind of person who notices when other people are happy, Andrew? Yes, I'm the kind of person.
I'm the kind of person
who notices when other people
are happy.
Happy. Yes, very good. Okay, so the idea is to try to push quickly, not wait for the student to answer everything that they're going to answer. You want them to come back to you as soon as possible. So you need to put a little bit of pressure on the students all the time. Okay, so you present back to me from chat. You don't have to give the explanation, just the translation. Okay?
Okay. Chatear, online, en línea, face-to-face, cara a cara. Do you prefer chatting with your friends face-to-face or online? Do you prefer chatting with your friends face-to-face or online?
This is where you have to prompt. No, this is normal, Andrew. Don't worry about it. Okay, so because the method is a little bit counterintuitive. Yeah, so we're doing things. You know, when you speak to somebody, it's polite to wait for the other person to speak. But when you're teaching like this, you need to speak before the other person. So it's kind of against what our parents taught us when we were kids, to be polite and wait for the other person. But so as a teacher, you need to get in there. Yeah, so no problem with that. Do that question again from the beginning. Do you prefer
chatting with your friends face-to-face or online? Do you prefer chatting with your friends face-to-face or online? Stephen, I prefer chatting.
So quickly, I prefer chatting. I prefer chatting.
With my friends.
With my friends.
Face-to-face.
Face-to-face.
Online.
Online.
What do you do when you go online? What do you do when you go online? Stephen, when I go online,
When I go online,
look at my email,
I look at my email,
Instagram,
Instagram, X,
etc.
etc.
Notice, darse cuenta, noticia. For example, the first thing I noticed when I got up this morning was the rain. What was the first thing you noticed when you got up today? What was the first thing you noticed when you got up today? Stephen, the first thing
First thing
noticed
I noticed
up today
when I got up today
was the rain.
was the rain.
Are you the kind of person who notices when other people are happy? Are you the kind of person who notices when other people are happy? Stephen, yes, I'm the
Yes, I'm the
kind of person
kind of person
who notices when other people
who notices when other people
are happy.
are happy. Okay, so when you're you give the prompt and then the student starts to speak. As soon as they start to speak and you realize that they're going to get to the end, you need to start feeding the rest of the answer in order to keep that going. Yeah, to keep try not to wait for a gap after the student has finished speaking to start. So you kind of anticipate that they're going to finish and immediately put the next words to them, which is the feed. Okay, so we'll carry on. We'll do the next two sections as well. So free and lie. Okay, so we're going to do those without explanation, directly into the vocabulary. Okay, so I'll deliver it to you, then you deliver back to me. So free, gratis, libre, busy, ocupado. What do you do in your free time? What do you do in your free time, Andrew? I read the newspaper, I watch TV, I
watch the TV
in my free time. Are you busy at work at the moment? Are you busy at work at the moment, Andrew? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes? Yes.
No,
No, I'm not busy
at work.
at work at the moment. When you have a party, do you give free drinks? When you have a party, do you give free drinks, Andrew? Yes, when I have a party,
When I have a party,
I
I
give
give
free drinks. Okay, so lie, acostarse, comfortable, cómodo, uncomfortable, incómodo, pillow, unweiler. Do you like to lie in bed on Saturday morning? Do you like to lie in bed on Saturday morning, Andrew? Yes or no? Yes?
Yes.
No? Yes. I like to lie in bed
Saturday morning.
on Saturday morning. Yeah. I can't hear you because of the microphone is cutting out, so I don't know whether you're making mistakes for me to correct. So it's not that I'm not correcting you, I just can't hear the mistake at the moment. Okay, so no problem. We'll get the headphones to you. Which do you prefer, sleeping on a bed or sleeping on the floor? Which do you prefer, sleeping in a bed or sleeping on the floor, Andrew? I prefer sleeping in a bed than to be sleeping on the floor. Okay, why do you prefer sleeping in a bed? Why do you prefer sleeping in a bed, Andrew? I prefer sleeping
In a bed.
because it's more
comfortable.
comfortable. Yeah. How many pillows do you put on your bed? How many pillows do you put on your bed, Andrew? I put 3 pillows, 2 pillows on my bed. On my bed. Okay, good. So you present back to me now, no explanations from free and busy. Okay.
Free, gratis, libre, busy, ocupado. What do you do in your free time? What do you do in your free time? Stephen,
Okay, so in these situations, always have something ready.
an example.
Yeah, so I watch TV is the easiest way. So yeah, I
watch TV
watch TV
in my free time.
in my free time. Okay, so in those situations, the student can put what they want in there, but quite often what happens is the student doesn't study beforehand and they don't have an answer to put in there. So you have to be ready to put an answer in there rather than waiting for the student to answer. Okay, continue, please. Are you
busy at work at the moment? Are you busy at work at the moment? Stephen, yes, no.
Yes,
I'm busy at
I'm
work.
busy at work at the moment.
When you have a party, do you give free drinks? When you have a party, do you give free drinks? Yes, no. Stephen,
Yes,
yes. When I have a party,
when I have a party,
I give free drinks.
I give free drinks.
Lie, acostarse, comfortable, cómodo, uncomfortable, incómodo, pillow, almohada. Do you like to lie in bed on a Saturday morning? Do you like to lie in bed on a Saturday morning? Stephen, yes, no.
Yes,
Yes, I like to lie in bed
I like to lie in bed
on Saturday morning.
on Saturday morning.
Which do you prefer, sleeping in a bed or sleeping on the floor? Which do you prefer, sleeping in a bed or sleeping on the floor? Stephen, I prefer sleeping
I prefer sleeping
in bed,
in a bed
sleeping on the floor.
to sleeping on the floor.
Why do you prefer sleeping in a bed? Why do you prefer sleeping in a bed, Stephen? I prefer sleeping
I prefer sleeping
in a bed because
in a bed because
it's more comfortable.
it's more comfortable.
How many pillows do you put on your bed? How many pillows do you put on your bed? Steve, I put
I put
3 pillows on my bed.
3 pillows on my bed. Okay, very good. Right, let's do the next section and then we'll change to Zoom 2. Okay, I'll need to send you the link for Zoom 2, but I'll present this and you present it back to me. Okay, so from wake up. So wake up, woke up, woken up. So despertar, despertó, despertado. Go to sleep, irse a dormir, immediately, inmediatamente, midnight, medianoche. When you wake up on Saturday, do you often get up immediately? When you wake up on Saturday, do you often get up immediately, Andrew? Yes or no? Yes, no, yes.
Yes.
Yes, when I wake up on Saturday, I often get up immediately. Did your phone wake you up this morning? Did your phone wake you up this morning? Yes, my phone.
Yes, my phone
woke me up this morning. Have you ever woken up after midnight because of a noise in your house? Have you ever woken up after midnight because of a noise in your house? Have you ever woken up after midnight because of a noise in your house, Andrew? Yes, I've woken up.
I've woken up
after midnight
because
of a noise in my house. Okay, so through, por, a través. Yeah, so I'm putting my finger through my buttonhole. This is a button. This is a buttonhole. Okay, so I'm putting my pen through my buttonhole like that. Okay, so what do you walk through when you go into a room? What do you walk through when you go into a room, Andrew? I walk through a door. I walk through a door when I go into a room. Yeah. How many buttons do you have on your best coat, Andrew? How many buttons do you have on your best coat? I have 4 buttons.
4 buttons
on my best coat. Do you go through your dictation after each lesson? Do you go through your dictation after each lesson, Andrew? Yes, of course. I go through.
Yes, of course. I
go through my dictation after each lesson. How do you spell the word through? How do you spell the word through, Andrew? T-H.
T-H-R-O-U-G-H.
Which provinces must you go through when you go to Buenos Aires from Mendoza? Which provinces must you go through when you go from Buenos Aires to Mendoza? I must go through. I must go through San Luis, Córdoba.
Luis, Córdoba.
Santa Fe. When I go from Buenos Aires to Mendoza. When I go through
Buenos Aires to Mendoza.
Very good. Okay, so you repeat that back to me again without the explanation, just to practice giving the questions as quickly as possible.
Okay, wake up, woken up. Despertar, desperto, haber despertado, go to sleep, irse a dormir, immediately, inmediatamente, midnight, medianoche. When you wake up on Saturday, do you often get up immediately? When you wake up on Saturday, do you often get up immediately? Yes, no. Stephen? Yes.
Yes.
Wake up
When I wake up
Saturday.
on Saturday, often get up immediately.
Not after I get up. I often get up.
I often get up immediately.
Did your phone wake up? Did your phone wake you up this morning? Did your phone wake you up this morning? Stephen, yes, no. Yes.
Yes.
My phone woke
My
me
phone woke me up
up this morning.
this morning.
Have you ever woken up after midnight because of a noise in your house? Have you ever woken up after midnight because of a noise in your house? Stephen, yes, no.
Yes. Yes.
I have woken up.
I have woken up after midnight because of a noise in my house. Okay. Yep. Through.
Through. Por. A través de. Button. Button. Buttonhole. Ojal. What do you walk through when you go into a room? What do you walk through when you go into a room? Stephen, I walk through.
I walk through
door.
a door
I go into a room.
when I go into a room.
How many buttons do you have on your best coat? How many buttons do you have on your best coat? Stephen, I have four
four
on my
buttons
best.
on my best coat.
Do you go through your dictation after each lesson? Do you go through your dictation after each lesson? Stephen, yes.
Yes. Of course.
My dictation.
I go through my dictation after each lesson.
How do you spell through? How do you spell through? Stephen.
THROUGH.
Which provinces must you go through when you go from Buenos Aires to Mendoza? Which provinces must you go through when you go from Buenos Aires to Mendoza? Stephen, I must go through San Luis, Cordoba, and Santa Fe when I go from Buenos Aires to Mendoza. Yeah, did you hear that last part? When I go from Buenos Aires to Mendoza.
When I go from Buenos Aires to Mendoza. Yep. So sometimes that happens. The students just sit there and they don't know what's going on. So you have to push them through. You have to be active in trying to get them to answer the question. So you have to try and work out what it is, the problem is, and push them through the answer. Yeah. So if they don't answer, all they have to do in the lesson is just copy your words if they don't know the answer in the lesson. Okay. Right. Let's leave and come back in Zoom 2. I'll send you my Zoom 2 link through WhatsApp. Okay. Because it's not the same one as on the platform. Okay.
All right.
Okay.